Like, share, and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up. Like, share, and subscribe. The Lawyer Henderson podcast is now live. Lawyer Henderson podcast is now live. Hit that thumbs up, like, share, and please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That helps the algorithm. Okay, it helped the algorithm to get us more likes and shares. Also on Instagram, hit that thumbs up button and like, share, and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button. Okay, like, share, and subscribe. Welcome to the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. Today, of course, we're going to be talking about the trial of Derek Chauvin. Okay, and of course, I was, waiting for everybody else to get all of their little celebration out. I was waiting for the white media to go out there and say, this is a change and all that. I was waiting for the black boulets to basically get everything out the way, get all what they have to say and all these lies about we did it and all this and stuff. And this is another phase of justice. I was waiting for all that to get out. I was even sitting back waiting, of course, respectfully for the black media to do their live. In fact, of course, only when I come on Wednesday, Thursdays and Sundays, some of the news have already been reported. So I basically just waiting and listen to what everybody has to say before Lawyer Henderson podcast come on. But today we're going to be getting deep into the Derek Chavin trial here. We're going to be talking about what this means, and of course, we're going to also be talking about two other murders that basically just happened as well. Dante Wright in this new case of what's this young lady's name, Khia Bryant. So we basically are going to be talking about these cases here on the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. Let's go ahead and make it official. British American politics. Thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. Thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Thumbs up. Like, share, and subscribe, family. 516-418-5867. That's the number to call in to the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. 516-418-5867. That's the number to call if you want to speak with the host. Today, we're going to be talking about Derek Chauvin guilty on all counts. And the topic is how white supremacy conduct white sacrifice. Okay, is this justice or is this white sacrifice? And of course, you have a lot of black folks who don't know the difference here. And so today we're going to be basically explaining what this means in a sense. We have black folks out there celebrating, talking about, oh, God, it's good and all this old stuff. It's just ridiculous as to what we think is celebration of justice. You see, of course, we get screwed up so badly in these schools, and they even educate our men and women, but specifically our women, to go out and seek integration for their children in white society. Whereas, of course, you have a lot of black people, specifically black women, who goes into the white neighborhoods and live. instead of in a black community. That's another story here. But what I wanted to basically get out here is that the Derek Chauvin guilty on all counts is not a celebration whatsoever. In fact, as Amos Wilson had taught us, the white supremacists have to basically give you somewhat of justice. They have to, of course, agree that a white person, as Nellie Fuller points out, has to sacrifice for the betterment of maintaining white supremacy. And that's the reason why the news media, the white press, the news media was out there. And as you noted, they mostly put their cameras on black people who were cheering, black people who were what? Celebrating, black people who were in the streets, what? Dancing, rallying. You even had your boulets like Al Sharpton and Ben Crump out there talking about we did it. We heard them on The View. These are black people who is the real reason why white supremacy is effective today. The ideal then that white power is basically is trying to redefine itself and trying to legitimize itself is based upon if it can continue to maintain our cooperation in the system, you see. Derek Chauvin guilty verdict on all counts is not a sign of justice. We've been talking about why white supremacy like to pick and choose its white sacrificers. In other words, the whole world was upset, and the white people got it into their minds that it was going to be chaos if this man got off. You had the Congressional Black Caucus. They even had cameras around as they was out there talking about yes. And then they had the older mammy in the Black Caucus. Now y'all be quiet now. We don't want to get too loud. The white daddy get upset. Now y'all celebrating too hard. You see, this is the type of black folks we've been dealing with for years. You see, I have nothing against Christianity. Okay, I don't criticize black people for being Christians. I don't really criticize people in their religion. But it is always these Christian black folks who basically like to celebrate early in so-called victories. And that's the problem for the black masses. Okay? As we said about the civil rights people, we said that they what? Are setting their children up for failure. Because they basically look at guilty verdicts like this and say, well, yeah, we did it. You got Mushmouth Crump out there. We did it. And he did not do anything. You had people from the ground roots who basically recorded that video of that officer with his knee on George Floyd's neck. You had a black men out there, black men and women out there just basically witnessing disgraced soldiers. Did you have the Congressional Black Caucus out there witnessing this? Did you have your bootleg Negroes out there witnessing that murder? Did you have your mushmouth Crumps and your civil rights retreads? Was they the one out there witnessing the murder? No. It was people from the grassroots. It was one black man who indicated that he called the police on the police because he believed that he witnessed a murder. You see, we have to stop allowing certain black people to try to take credit for something that they're not even entitled to. It was interesting, though, what Jesse Jackson said about Ben Crump. He said that when, and then I'm paraphrasing here, but he said that when we lost Johnny Cochran, it was birthed to bring Ben Crump on the scene. But Ben Crump and Johnny Cochran were two different types of attorneys. One was a civil attorney, one was a defense attorney. In other words, we keep on replacing real radical people with a weak person to represent us in white society. And so therefore, when these families take these early settlements that Ben Crump goes out there and get, those families are also what? financing the death of their children. That's the reason why we have to be very careful as to when we bring Ben Crump on the scene. Tamir Rice's mom was very um, strategic in her explaining to us how that she had to fire Ben Crump because she was basically limited of what she could say in the press. And that's what the white media relies upon. They relies upon bringing your weak constituency out there to represent black folks so that these people can appease us. It is a good thing that the youth and the grassroots are seeing over these bought and paid for bootleg Negroes. The white supremacists will bring on their bootlegs in order to try to rationalize and justify their murders and killing of black folks. And just as black people and the rest of the world was celebrating that all guilty verdict in the Derek Chauvin plea, you had a race soldier go out there in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, who just killed a 15-year-old girl, Khia Bryant. You see, they're getting very bold because they're looking at Ben Crump and all these civil rights people, and they're out there saying, well, they can finance their way out of these murders. You understand? So, white sacrifice could basically be implemented if we can then allow the white supremacy to how and when we're going to get justice. Important. And we're going to come back to that on the Lawyer Henderson podcast. The ideal here is that this is not justice, that we cannot celebrate early that this man is in jail. The judge still have to sentence him, and the judge basically is acting himself as a white supremacist. We have to understand that these officers are now going to try to see if they can get bench trials from the judges. Unfortunately for Derek Chauvin, he did not take a bench trial by a judge. He took a trial by a jury, which was pretty much foolish on his part, knowing that he had a white supremacist judge who may have gave him 12 years. But unfortunately here for him, he was a white sacrifice. This is not justice at all. How can you then argue that this is justice? You understand? When you still have the murders of Breonna Taylor walking out there in the streets still. How can you call this justice when the murderer of Trayvon Martin is still walking? How can you call this justice when the murder of Tamir Rice is still walking around? This is the reason why I tell you, as Nellie Ford has pointed out and taught us, is that white supremacy will often pick and choose its white sacrifices. And so you notice that everybody was thinking Jim Crow Joe Biden and how Ben Crump was thinking him and stuff like that. When the government basically then will make a phone call to the prosecution or to other people, visit the family of the victims, and the family of victims and say, well, we don't want y'all to go out there and tear up anything in the streets. What we want y'all to do is just basically honor my loved one's name by blah, 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 blah. Okay? In other words, these families have bought into the ideal that because they are basically the kinfolk, that they represent only that person. No, white people think of that in those terms. Black people have always thought of ourselves as a community. In other words, when you are born in society, you are basically not just an island to yourself or an island to your family. You have an extended community of black people within that community because the child is not going to be an island to himself. In other words, the family, although they lost a loved one, don't get to pick and choose how the community reacts. You understand? So therefore, white people like to, and these boule Negroes like to convince us that, well, the family said this and the family said that, and the family said this. It's not about the family. You understand? And that's the white media. That's the reason why no one paying attention to them, is because they have basically really tried to then separate black people in the thinking of individuality. That's the reason why we're nowhere in this society right now. Is because we think on terms of individuality. We buy into the Europeans' terms of family. The ideal is that when we talk about black people getting justice, and you rely up on the streets to help you to then try to seek justice, you don't get the opportunity to turn around and say, oh, we don't need you right now because see, we got Ben Crump and he's going to get us a settlement with the city. Doesn't work like that. When you bring the family in, the family always stay there, even when you turn your back on your community, you see, just because you got some check. We're talking about financing our own demise. So here we have Derek Chauvin been found guilty of on all three counts. It was interesting, though, that the prosecution did not charge this man with first degree murder. That was very interesting. You see, because in first degree murder, he would have got life in prison, or he would have got, he could qualify for the death penalty. But when we talk there about white sacrifice, it is always talked about in the white supremacist arena as to which white men and women will sacrifice. Okay, notice they got this Betty Shelby off in Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma. She is still walking. So I just named you. There was 3 white men who got off in Breonna Taylor's case. I think 4 really, because of the guy who also had obtained a warrant fraudulently. So you got 4 white men in her case. You got, I think, 1 in Tamir Rice's case, which is 5. You have George Zimmerman, 6. You have also an Asian suspected white supremacy, Peter Lyane, and Kai Gurley's case in New York, that's 7. So you can't balance as to how many race soldiers that are getting off versus how many that the white supremacists decide that they're going to put in jail as their white sacrifice. And this is going to be the way to control these Negroes who think that they can't get justice. Ben Crump has, every time that he got into a case, we have seen these race soldiers walk. And he says, well, I'm a civil rights attorney. And in other words, we basically stopped celebrating black defense attorneys like Johnny Cochran. And all of a sudden now we're celebrating civil rights attorneys who can basically get us a quick settlement with the city. Okay? What happened to us praising black defense attorneys? Okay? If I have more time, we'll talk about Attorney Blackwell, who basically was called by the Attorney General Ellison to help in prosecuting. Now, this Blackwell character, he is basically a great defense attorney, or civil rights attorney, or defense attorney, whatever he is, but he also is what? A great prosecutor. He was able to, in this particular case, to even call out the defense experts in their own so-called field of medicine and science. You rarely get a defense attorney that understand the terminology. So if he would have got away, this expert would have got away with pronouncing the wrong terminology in this case. And luckily there was a defense attorney that basically said, no, wait a minute. You see, I know your science here, and you basically are saying this wrong. You understand? This attorney Blackwell was able to basically call out this so-called doctor on his mispronunciation of something that he's supposed to really be knowledgeable on. You see, And that was certain types of highlights in the trial, that we up here praising Ben Crump, but when we should be really praising the prosecutor Blackwell, and he's not a prosecutor, he was chosen by the prosecution, by the way. He's still a private attorney here. But black men like that, who was able to then call out the white supremacists and help defeat them at their own game, those are the black attorneys that we need to start praising. Ben Crump has been mush mouthing and has been getting millions of dollars off the murders of black children. And as Tamir Rice's mother had pointed out, that she was not able she was limited as to what she could say in this trial. Okay, so and now typically I basically when I come on I talk about other things, but no, we're gonna indulge right into it. We're gonna get right into it. You understand? We're gonna get right into it. And so this is what we're talking about here. 516-418-5867. That's the number to call in to the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. Don't be so shocked, though. Don't be shocked if Kim Potter get off for killing Dante Wright. Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if this race soldier who murdered Khia Bryant, Nick Riordan, or how you say this character's name, Reardon, in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. Don't be shocked if those two white supremacists get off. Don't be shocked of that. Because remember, white people and white supremacists are selective in justice. In other words, they kept saying, oh, the jury was intimidated and the jury was blah, 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 and the jury was and they was scared and blah, blah, this and blah, blah. They basically made it apparent, even in the white ring, to suggest that the only reason why this man was found guilty is because the jury was intimidated. You had Fox News, this Carlson character, who brought on Candace Owens. And the white supremacist media, they like to bring on black people like this because these are people who come from other countries and other nations. They've been so defeated by the white supremacists in their countries. So they come over here to the United States when they can find a white dude to lay up with and have kids by or engage in all kinds of gutter sex. You understand? They like to put these people out. You see, in this finesse of this election that Jim Crow Joe Biden stole, I still believe, they had immigrants, black immigrants calling us. I had an black immigrant calling me. We basically, a lot of us, enough of us was so uncold about having Jim Crow Joe Biden in office that this was one of their techniques that they used back in the 1960s. Remember, in the 60s, we had uprisings that was going on all around the nation, especially even before Dr. King had got assassinated. You know, black people were taken to the streets. They were basically coming with, as Malcolm pointed out, with guns to Washington D.C. Said, no, we're going to force you to give us justice. Okay, and so therefore, just think about if this man was found to be innocent. It would have been a rout for white people. You have to understand that that's the reason why we wasn't playing in this particular case. We really wasn't. We were ready to turn up. We wasn't playing. You see, the riot in Los Angeles about how black people just got random white folks coming out of tractor trailers and throwing them down on the ground, that would have been nothing. You even had your boulets on CNN talking about, no, we don't get no justice now. Oh man, I'll tell you, this will be just like Rodney King. And that right there scared the white supremacists. And that's the only reason why Jim Crow Joe Biden got his ass off his tail and did something. But see, every so-called celebration, the white supremacists still, in a sense, will try us again. That's the reason why this case with Khia Bryant is this race soldier is going to get off. Because number one, the white supremacist is going to try to white splain. Well, she was twirling her knife at two other women, and since she was doing that, I had no choice but to kill her, and blah 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 blah. You understand? And so therefore, there's another person getting off. Because we've seen, of course, certain types of police officers who's been getting 10 years, 12 years in jail, like Amber Geiger. We saw her getting 10 years in jail. We saw other police officers in Chicago getting at least 10 or 12 years in prison. But the ideal here is that two things needs to happen, bottom line, is that when these officers shoot somebody, they should basically lose their pension. They should basically be held liable. We have not gotten to that point. Okay? And as a wise man once said, that the killing of black people will stop if white people start bleeding. You see, if they start going out and having people killing white children, that's when it's time for reform. You see, they don't care about these black people, specifically the black Christians, because y'all put yourselves in harm's way. Y'all actually buy into all of this interracial sex and all this old stuff. Y'all put yourselves in that position. See, when a black person put themselves in that position, that's the reason why you don't call out everything, because you got certain black people who put themselves in the position to be attacked. Like that black chick when she was basically dating that white dude. I think this happened in South Carolina somewhere, where she went on a camping trip with her white boyfriend and his white friends, and all of them start double teaming on the black chick who he's supposed to be protecting. You see, she put herself in that position into thinking that she was going to then be uh, rescued and supported by her own boyfriend. You see, when you start talking crap about black men, and then you go into the other side and say, yeah, see, grass is greener on the other side, and blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, the grass is green on the other side. You understand? All right. You see, now you have a situation. You've seen white men after white men beating down black women, and you had Asian men in these stores beating down black women. These are the black women who keep on talking about that there's no protection of black women in the country. That's because they themselves have said, I don't need no man, I'm independent, blah, 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 and I'm going to go out there and get me a zaddy. And we're looking like, okay, it's your right to go out and get you a zaddy. But see, don't be calling on the black community when zaddy starts beating your tail. And now it's like, see, I want another chance with the black man. Shit. You know, you start coming back, trying to come back to the other side like Stacey Dash. You understand? But no. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Let's go into it. The ideal is that the Derek Chavin guilty on all counts. How white supremacy conduct white sacrifice is that they could basically call prosecution and say, yeah, everybody is looking at this. Tell the jury, yeah, everybody's looking at this. Go ahead and find this guy guilty. Go ahead and find him guilty. Yeah, one white dude. He also had other kinds of claims against him. Why not? It's only one person. Now, these other three are going to get lighter sentences. You have three other people, three other guys who are going to get lighter sentences because you have three other who just sat and watched and they basically was not listening to the crowd saying, hey, he can't breathe and stuff like that. They're going to take plea deals because, um, I think there was a plea deal for Chauvin. I don't know if that's true or not, but these other three are going to be smart. But they said that the Asian police officer, he can't really take a plea deal like the other two officers can, because they said that he basically allowed Chauvin and he blocked a medical some EMT woman from rendering aid to him, and she testified on the behalf. And you see how the white media, they were out there parading his white girlfriend and all this old stuff. They kept on not wanting to put Jayana's mother in the article and stuff like that. The white media said, well, yeah, he's a father, okay, but you didn't tell us who he had a child by. You understand? The white media kept on parading his white girlfriend. They like to do certain things as, oh yeah, we all saw victory. It's just not a black thing, but it was all of us. It was black, Asian, white, Hispanics. We all came together, and we all this whole happy one family, and blah blah blah. And see, why you Chinese people and you people all over the world, you can't say that there's no justice in America, and we all a happy family, and now we can go back and dictate to other people in other nations that we are the leader of the free world, and blah 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 blah. You understand? That's what they're trying to then get a point. You have the white media out there already talking about after the trial that, oh, we're America is back as the leader of the free world, and we're the one who's going to give you the personification of justice. Man, give me a break. Give me a break. We as black people who do not play dumb with our mind like a lot of these other black folks do, we continue to see a lot of race soldiers walk. You see, that's the only difference. You see, it's not Asian people or Hispanic people who are trying to be the buffer class of the white supremacists. They are trying to basically see how they can get some type of interracial access to sex with these white supremacists. Black people have specifically, especially us on the grassroots, we've been the ones out there who is fighting for justice. We've been the one pulling up at these police officers' home. You had a lot of black folks out here, they're disguising themselves and we don't know who they are. They're out here talking crap. None of those people are putting their self in harm's way like the grassroots are. You understand? So they're giving themselves some type of clout and all this old stuff. No, there are black people who are literally putting their bodies, like they did in the 1960s, in harm's way, okay, who deserve all the credit. And the reason why they deserve all the credit is because they're putting their life on the line. It was the Black Panther Party who put their lives on the line. Okay, it was people in the civil rights movement, yes, that put their lives on the line. We basically respect that. We basically think that that's commendable. We see black folks who just sit around and they're behind computers all day and on Facebook and nobody know who they are. We can't basically find out what kind of receipts they have. You see, I've been an activist for a very long time. So I have receipts. Since I have stripe. You see, I'm not wearing my stripes now, but I have a right to talk about this because I have stripes. You see, it used to be a time where I was in a street putting my life on the line, facing the race soldiers, rallying with Al Sharpton before he lost weight. And then at the same time, as Vicky Diller said, lost consciousness as well. So there was some of us who put our life on the line as it opposed to people who want to talk about their grassroots. And we're not seeing them put their life on the line. We're seeing them selling stuff to black folks. We're seeing them basically uh, getting money from the deaths of of these people who are dying. These people basically are really getting money from exploitation of these issues. Whereas you got real folks who actually, like I said, is doing the work. Okay. At one point, I can talk about Tamika Mowry, but at another point, you cannot really. You understand? Because Tamika basically, as I understand her, I can agree with Tamir Rice's mother on certain things, but I can't agree with her on everything about Tamika Mallory. If you basically are putting yourself on the line, and then people can come up and just ambush you at any time, that's a man and that's a woman who basically put their life on the line, as it opposed to somebody who is behind a computer and talking about, visit my website, buy this, and we're going to basically allow you to give us some money on cash out. You know, it has to go to the real people. See, black folks have a problem with supporting the right people. Black people, when it comes to stuff like this, like to be entertained a lot. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why you had a lot of black folks at the beginning of these riots, like Rashard Brooks' case, and the beginning of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. You had black folks out there dancing and bopping and pussy and all this sort of stuff. But you have to understand something. That's not the way to go. You understand? We have to get those people out of the front. You understand? You had black folks dancing downtown when Derek Chauvin case was announced. They up there entertaining white folks. No, 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 no. This is not no clown show. Okay, it's not no time for no celebrating with people who basically it's not fighting for white supremacy. As I often told you, that yeah, white people will show up and basically hold their signs up, but I keep on challenging them on the fact that if racism is not exist and you're against it, why is it that you continue to manage to put a white supremacist in your police department? If white supremacists like y'all are not racist, why is it that y'all continue to have a white racist governor in your state politics? If you're not racist, why is it that y'all continue to elect the DA who is as racist as the KKK? So you got to be able to basically challenge white folks on that. You come out here and you hold up signs with me, but then you're going back into your community to the same district attorney who basically refusing to then file charges against these race soldier cops. You see, so we have to start calling them out. And then this lie about these attacks on Asians, the white media couldn't wait for the Derek Chauvin case to be over so that they can go back with this propaganda. And these niggers, y'all are out there and y'all are just attacking these Asians. And what we have to do is we have to have Jim Crow Joe Biden. He has to pass this legislation to protect these Asians because these niggers are out of control. And these are black people. And you might say, well, yeah, black folks are not being oppressed. Why? They are the ones who are oppressing Asians. And you start building up this lie, and people start to listen to this crowd. And then you what? You then give a new propaganda as to who the fake perpetrators are, so it takes the blame off the real perpetrators and onto the victims of white supremacy. And this is what they're doing. And the white media, the reason why no one is really listening to them, the reason why there's no credit within them at all, is because their propaganda, they're upset that they cannot use their reporting to control the masses of people. You see, there used to be a time where they'll bring Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, like back in 2004 during Mike Brown. Is it Mike? Not Michael Brown, but the other Michael who who got, I think it was Mike Brown, but no, it was another Michael who got when he was fighting the white kids at the school in Gina, Louisiana. At those time back in 2004, that's where they were really getting Jesse and Al Sharpton to go out there to maintain their little things and try to basically put us all into controlling the black masses. See, it used to be a time when that happens. But see, now, you have a new generation saying, "Oh, hell, forget this. Hell, we're going to go out in the streets. We're going to turn up. We're just going to start pulling up at these race soldiers' home." You see, they had to barricade, put fences up in Potter's home. They already know that this woman might get off. Okay, so they're prepared. They already prepared to put fences up. They're out there putting the family. The Potter family doesn't even Kim and her husband and children already vacated the house. They're gone, but they're trying to protect the property. You see, white supremacists, they're all about talking about property. You got black folks calling me up and before talking about destroying property and blah, 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 blah. Okay, property that black folks don't own, though. Okay, it'll be a different time is when black people during segregation owned their property. You understand? Now we don't own a damn thing, not even in our own neighborhoods. You see? And so it harkens back to what I said earlier. Where's the real justice when Breonna Taylor's killers are still walking? Okay? What about Tamir Rice killers? What about Peter Liane? What about Trayvon Martin killer George Zimmerman? You see, they are still walking. You see, and that's the reason why we say that this is a white sacrifice in order to then maintain control. In other words, white supremacy is out here looking at the fact that this may go back to the 1960s. And so, how we reestablish and redefine ourselves and how we can reestablish a system that we know that doesn't work for anybody but white people. How could we basically get everybody to come back into cooperation? How can we can legitimize the police department? You understand? How is it that we can do that? And, we know that these are race soldiers, that they have taken off their KKK uniforms. But how can we basically legitimize and say that, no, that these are law enforcement officers? They're not race soldiers. These are law enforcement. How can we do that? Well, I know. Well, we can make sure that everybody speak out against Derek Chauvin, and he's the only mean white man, and blah, 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 blah. And what we're going to do, yeah, everyone is celebrating all over the world. And now we can then go back to us being the leader of the world. And nobody can't say that there's justice on the streets. And we basically, you see all these niggers on TV, they're cheering as the verdict read, guilty, 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 you see? Bringing us back into the focus of trying to legitimize a illegitimate system, you see? That's black folks' biggest problem, celebrating too quickly. As we told you, that while we were celebrating the fact that Derek Chauvin had been found guilty of all counts, of all three counts, at the same time that the judge, this white supremacist judge, was reading the verdict, we had another race soldier out there, what? Killing and shooting a black girl down to the ground. You understand? It's just like their courtroom. You may have one courtroom where the judge says, and I can basically say that, oh man, I think that you are good for society. And I am not going to basically say, I'm going to put you in jail. We're going to give you another opportunity. But in another courtroom, nigger, I'm going to give you 40 years for stealing a piece of gum. And nigger, you bet not be back in my courtroom again. You see? White supremacy redefining itself. You understand? You see, this is a issue here where they have to basically give you somewhat justice so that you can think that the system works. That's the reason why Mushmouth Ben Crump, he's all on TV. We did it, y'all. And this is not just a step in the right direction. This is for everybody who talk about seeking justice. You see, they need those type of Negroes out there because these are Negroes who they put in front of the camera, they bring on the TV, because what? These Negroes are going to be the ones that remind the white supremacists of how it used to be back in slavery days. You see, the civil rights retreads who have no knowledge and no relationship with the black community and the black masses. You see, these are the black people who the white supremacists will bring on their media. Thank God that the black grassroots have been created. You see, it was used to be a time when we had no outlets. We had to just listen to the old dead black media. We had to listen to the white supremacist media. And we didn't have a third media, a grassroots media that was going to speak truth to power. You see, now we have that. Now we have that. And so, therefore, now we got black people out there celebrating, and the grassroots people are looking at like, what the hell are they celebrating for? We still got work to do. Okay, we still have a lot of race soldiers that's getting off, and so now you got these people who are trying to rationalize they already try to rationalize the shooting of not only Khia Bryant, but you also have Dante. What's the dude's name? Dante Wright. They're trying to basically make sure that this Kim Potter get off. Okay, while they out here white splaining about this race soldier who is a marksman in the military who shot and killed Khia Bryant. Okay, and this is why you keep trying to tell black people in the white media and in the media, stop going to call the police every time your family members are fighting. That's a problem. You know, calling the police when you have grown folks out there who are looking at kids fighting, you understand, and do not break it up, that's a problem. Okay, and then you call the police, and then you always got these old black folks, they like to call the police as well. And then they show up, and then they all of a sudden they start gunning down your kids. That's an issue. You don't need the police on most of everything that it happens in the community. What you need to be doing is policing yourself. See, you had grown men and women standing by, allowing these girls to fight, and then you called the police when one of y'all could just took that knife away from that girl and stop the whole thing. You see, we have a lot of black families that they're calling the police, and all of a sudden it's a quick check and stuff. We have to start calling out families like that. You see, we have to start investigating that in the black masses. Why are you calling the cops for a fight? Even if there's a knife, these race soldiers know they're not going to come and try to use a taser on her or on him. They're going to come and they're going to point their service weapon. That's what they know. That's all they want to do. Because the problem is that black folks like to call the police and call the police and call the police instead of being a community of a police or being a police community that police themselves. You see, we are relying upon white mommy and white daddy system, and that's an issue because they're not going to give us justice. They're going to come and they're going to draw guns at your children. They're going to kill them. And you had grown men and women standing around and not breaking up that fight and not de-escalating the situation. And that's the problem with a lot of black families. They like to put their kids on drugs, and then when the drugs start messing up their mind,
they can't control the child, and then they call the police, and the police come out there, drop that knife, blah, 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 blah. Notice they don't do that to white people who are mental. You had a white man who basically was rolling a knife all over the place. And he's like, he was telling the police, go ahead and shoot me. My life is hell and blah, blah, blah. And the white cop said, I don't want to shoot you. You see, that is what we're talking about here. Let's go ahead and I don't like the New York Post. The New York Post had came out with an article about that Dante Wright was already being investigated. He was already on about to be charged with something like, I think, robbery or something like that. You see, the New York Post, even like when our brother DMX passed, they were talking about how he foreclosed on homes. This is the reason why you cannot basically rely upon the white supremacist media. But let's go ahead and read the article of the New York Post where they said that Ohio cop who fatally shot Khia Bryant is military trained marksman. You see, so he really wanted to come to that scene and shoot somebody because of his military training. You see, but now you got the police chief out there saying, "Well, I'm white and I say so." And what really happened is I'm gonna release the video, and you can see that we protect these two girls from getting stabbed and blah 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 blah. So this man is gonna get off. But the article goes on to say that the Ohio police officer who shot to death a black teenage girl in a disturbing encounter with a knife appears to be military trained marksman specializing in firing an assault rifle, according to the report Wednesday. Columbus police officer Nicholas Reardon, who was placed on paid leave. Now remember, when they put them on paid leave, that's only when you come back in you don't come back in your uniform, or if you is in your uniform, you're sitting at your desk and you're just doing nothing. And everybody is basically over there, yeah, man, you're the one who shot that nigger girl. And everybody is clapping their hands. They're basically celebrating. You see, the ideal here is that they don't really get in no trouble here when they're placed on administrative leave here. But anyway, it goes on to say though that after that Columbus police officer Nicholas Reardon, who was placed on paid leave after fatally shooting 16-year-old Khia Bryant on Tuesday, is a U.S. Air National Guardsman who received an expert marksman badge with an M4 carbine rifle, according to the Daily Beast. I hope I said that right. Reardon, who joined the department in 2019, is also the son of Air Force veteran and retired Columbus Division of Police Sergeant Edward Ted Reardon, according to the outlet, which cited social media and other reports. Now, come on now, we're going to put our fair use to work here. The New York Post is already coming out saying this. On Wednesday, the Columbus Police Department released dramatic body cam footage that appears to show that Bryant lunging with a knife at a girl before she was fatally shot by Reardon. Get down! An officer can be heard shouting before he fires 4 shots at the teen. A man can be heard yelling, "You shot my baby! Are you effing kidding me? Are you effing serious?" You understand? End quote. Let's stop right there. Because now, this is what I'm talking about. If the father of this teenager is here, why is it that he and all these other grown ass men and women didn't break up this fight? Your child is being chased with a knife and you don't put her into the car and leave. This is problematic. You don't stop, you don't break it up. We're talking about community policing. Who called the race soldiers? You understand? That's what I want to get to. But now we identified that the father showed up. Man, my nose is itching. The shooting came the same day that former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chavin was convicted of murdering George Floyd, a case that sparked protests and raised questions about police militarization and use of force nationwide. You see, this is the reason why I hate this old people of color stuff that they always say in the media. I can't stand that phrase. And the reason why I can't stand that phrase, the people of color, is because we know that they're talking about black folks. But the problem is that they like to include everybody talking about, yeah, victims everywhere, like Asians and Hispanics. Why they are people of color too, but they're not getting shot and killed by police though. Yeah, this incident of what happened to these Asians here in Atlanta, that basically don't happen. That really don't happen. You understand? That didn't happen until the white media started coming back and talking about the Asians were being attacked. That's when that happened. But the New York Post goes on to say that Reardon had been responding to a 911 call about reported stabbing attempt around 4:30 p.m. Here come the white splaining. Tuesday, when he arrived at the scene, according to the police, the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation is handling the investigation. And they always say that. You see, this is this is like the KKK handling handing the case over to the Proud Boys. That's all it is. The so-called legitimacy of this system. Well, we in the KKK, we're going to bring in the Proud Boys to investigate this nigger being shot by one of our white supremacists, this race soldier. You understand? That's all it is. The U.S. National Guard didn't immediately return the Post request for comment on Wednesday, you see. So they're really out there. Man, why my nose, where's my grease? They really didn't really say a lot about this in the Post, but as the girl was charging the other girl, the family was right there when these girls were fighting. The father was right there when his daughter got shot and killed. So I'm trying to figure out, why was the police called when you had grown people here that could stop this stuff in our communities? You see, we have relied upon white daddy and white mommies for so long. They get to act as the adults and tell us when we can see our kids in these custody battles, because the black father and the black mother cannot be adults. So they have to go to the white supremacist court system, and the white supremacist court system say, well, you can keep the child on Monday through Friday, mom and dad, you can get the child on the weekend. You see, relying upon a racist white supremacy to dictate what will happen, giving the system legitimacy. You can't be adults like we used to do back in the days before we were segregated, and these people didn't even want us in their neighborhoods, where grandma and grandpa from both of the family came and sat down and say, okay, we recognize that you all are getting a divorce. We recognize that you all are not wanting to be married no more. But this is how we're going to basically allow you, the father and the mother, to see your children. We're going to plan this, and we're going to make sure that we plan it, very well, so that the child can interact with both parents. You see, we got children here. We got black folks thinking that they're adults. You understand? And now they have to go to the white supremacist, and he gets to dictate within his system. Well, see, you can't keep the child because you're unfit. You basically don't have a job. You see, and then behind closed door, another white supremacist is making sure that he what? Don't find one. You understand? That's the issue here. The problem with this is that they know that Derek Chauvin was going to basically be arrested. They know that this man was going to be found guilty. So it was not no use of boarding up downtown neighborhoods. In fact, you didn't need to basically patrol. You had the Atlanta Journal Constitution here in Atlanta, who basically did some report. Oh, Atlanta is bracing for is bracing for what could be a massive explosion downtown, and then you had old Mickey Mouse, square jaw looking, crappy boy looking Lori Lightfoot out there talking crap to the grassroots. We dare you to come out there and knock down our buildings. We are ready for you, and we're going to be here, and you're going to be arrested, and we dare you to do that. You know, she's out there, selling wolf tickets to the grassroots. Okay. She basically is doing what? She is putting pressure on her own officers. And if that man would have gotten off, they would have said, "Listen, this Lori Lightfoot, she's a problem." They would have said, "You got to get out of the damn mayor's position." But somebody told Lori Lightfoot, "Oh yeah, don't worry about it. He's gonna be found guilty." So she was able to come out there with her man looking self. We dare you to knock over our buildings, and we dare you to do this, and we dare you to do that. You know, they get these crazy black folks. They always, if it's not the white media that can find this, like this one chick, oh, thank God, we got a good God, blah blah, we got a good God. He's a good God. somebody, somebody is. Somebody was happy because they got their stimulus check out here. She kept on acting a fool. The white media like to bring on these types of people, man. They had the family looking at the verdict, and you had the old lesbian looking chick. It's like, you why bring these? You got to get the worst of black people on cameras. That's the reason why the white supremacist media is not legitimate. It was almost saddening to see George Floyd's family and their reaction. No, they met with the local media, and they had that one woman. At first I thought she was a man. I thought she was a man. They like to bring those types of black females out there, cut hair, who hate black men, who basically they like women and stuff like that. The ones, the ones that we as black men have to compete in order to get a black woman with. They like to put them on the news. Oh, oh, it's like, oh my God. You see, these are the women we had to compete with, by the way. He's like, wait a minute, okay. You ask a black woman, who you going to get, her or me? Oh, I'm going to take the last one. Okay, okay. Well, you know what I'm saying? We have to compete with them now out here. you know. Oh man, hold on. Let me get on the subject before the Me Too people start coming at me. But no, this Columbus police shooting, they're going to try to rationalize this. They're going to try to rationalize this, but what we want having forming is that we want these police officers to start going to jail. We want punishment. You understand? See, we understand what white supremacy. See, we in the grassroots in Black intellectual society, we understand what the white supremacists are trying to do here. They're trying to re-establish themselves. They're trying to re-establish themselves as becoming back legitimate. Because see, the whole world been calling out. China has called out America on its human rights issues, and they're like, okay, wait, United States, you can't really talk to us about human rights because we got a lot of black folks out there who's in the streets turning up right now because of all kinds of human rights violations. you really can't say anything about us and how we treat our citizens. And you have the white media out there talking about, oh, after the verdict, like I said earlier, oh, well, yeah, well, shoot, we have now became back the leader of the free world, and now see. America, we know how to come together and we know about justice and equality and blah blah blah. And we're the personification and we give examples of how you other countries can have freedom and to basically look at what we did and basically we found Derek Chauvin guilty and blah 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 blah. So we can tell you and show you about how we handle things in the United States, right? You see, but that all goes back to what I say, as Millie Fuller has taught us, is that there is a such thing as white sacrifice when it comes to so-called justice. Now, when we look there, we had the white media not only trying to then go out there and propagate that, how did this feel for you? And they talk and they know how to pick. See, the white media, this is the reason why they're illegitimate. This is the reason why the grassroots. Because have you noticed that they have never, ever, ever, or they rarely, I'll say rarely, 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 rarely do they bring on the grassroots people. They rarely bring on people who really wanted to turn up. The people who showed up at this Pitland house, who the one who's trying to punk that black dude, 19, 21-year old, in his neighborhood in South Carolina, they didn't interview the black folks who was telling that Pitland fool to come outside. When you're going to get an interview of those black folks, you know, that's what I want to see. You always get these civil rights people. You always get these leave it up to the Lord, these confused black people who basically the white supremacists have really educated in their schools and stuff. And they go out there, you get your AKA girls and these Greek organization Negroes. Those are the black folks that you want basically to be out there talking to you about the situation. Because for a radical black person, they will really tell you how they feel. Remember, go back into my commentary. I've lost a lot of jobs in telling a white man how I feel. You understand? And that is important, as Amos Wilson taught us. It's important because you don't want to be like other black folks. Instead of you going out there committing suicide because of white supremacy, wanting to kill yourself because of white supremacy, want to be on crack because of white supremacy, you got to turn around and do what? Let the white supremacists know how you feel. And that basically frees your mind up. You see, it used to be a time where you had a lot of black folks out here. Geez, y'all out there causing all kinds of trouble out there. Y'all need to start learning to understand what Jesus is. See, y'all know Jesus, gonna bring us together. You see what I'm saying? I'm sorry, but Jesus hasn't brought us together. Okay? When are you gonna stop lying to yourself? And the black folks is out there now, like the hell with that. We're flipping over police cars. We pulling up now at your homes. Black folks is getting sick and tired of that. Leave it up to the Lord. We're going to tell you how justice is going to be in the streets. Meanwhile, you have the old civil rights generation. Now, y'all out there, y'all need to stop that now. See, when we were coming up to y'all, we didn't have all that stuff. See, y'all messing up our social security check now. No. We have to basically, while y'all basically is going to retire and, go live in a nursing home or go all about your business and about to leave the earth, you still have black folks who have to deal with the issues here. So that's the reason why y'all basically are out of touch and out of reach with us. You understand? Y'all are out of reach with us because you all don't understand that justice cannot just be rallying and protesting in the streets. That's too easy. Now it's time to start pulling up. As Tariq Nasheed talked about in his show, Pull Up Summer is coming, where the white supremacists are being what? They're being confronted. We're pulling up, showing your addresses and your phone numbers now. We're burning down police departments. We're pulling up now. You understand? We're sick and tired of dying. As a wise man once said, if black people have to bleed, others have to bleed as well. You see, the ideal is that black children will stop dying when white children start dying. That basically is an emphasis to the white supremacists to understand. It don't get any plainer than that. We pull up at your home asking you to come outside. That's all. We coming outside. You had one brother out there say, well, we don't want to come out there with all that protesting. And we ready to come out there to beat this peddling behind. We're not for all that, raw justice and wah, 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 wah. Come on outside, peddling, pull up like you did on that young black dude, pull up, you see. And peddling did not want to come out. You know what I'm saying? It used to be a time where we didn't pull up on the white supremacists. We didn't even know where they stayed. You see, but there's times now that we're ready to pull up. You see, and so we have these scary Negroes out here, these bootleg Negroes out here trying to take credit because they're talking about they're the ones who got justice in the Derek Chauvin trial. No, this is only one white man out of so many who's gotten off on killing black people. White people have a whole history of killing us during slavery. And the problem is that black people have to start understanding that we're not dealing with police officers. We're dealing with race soldiers. And yes, Millie Fuller's right. From time to time, there is going to be white sacrifice, where the white supremacists will say, well, this Derek Chauvin, yeah, let's try to give these niggers some justice and we can basically calm the people down. And we know that there's going to be a lot of white victims that may basically get that work. Okay, we'll find him guilty. And we'll find him guilty on all charges. And we'll tell the world this is the justice that you basically going to receive in the United States. That does what? Well, that gives people out here what? Going back to normal, going back to their daily lives, not keeping up with the issues no more, going back to sleep. The LGBT community that criticize us, they are all still not saying anything. You got your Candace Owens out there and all of these people on Fox False News. These guys basically, they're saying, oh, guilty of what? Your Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson's right arm of white supremacy out there who's upset right now because they feel like they took an L in this one. You see, I basically would have been impressed if the race soldiers in Breonna Taylor's case had all got arrested. That's where I would have been basically impressed of. And that's what I'm telling the white media. You've not impressed me yet because the justice that we deserve has not been given. You ain't gave us our reparations for 465 plus years of enslavement. You still owe us for that. You still owe us for your benign and neglect policies that stop black people from resources. You still owe us justice for years of not only police brutality, but discrimination and institutionalized racism. This society, this American society, and the people that runs it owe us so much money and so much resources. And so therefore now they have allowed all these other people who come over here who didn't fight for a damn thing. See, black folks build the biggest economy in the world and have to then what? Work outside of it. I mean, we just come to work and basically do our job to make other people rich, and then we go home. You see what I'm saying? But we're supposed to basically be doing what? We're supposed to be enjoying the fruits of our labor. And so white folks and their children, the white supremacist children, they know this. But what they're trying to do is they're trying to scapegoat. They're refusing to force rules and laws that is already on the books where black people were supposed to already have resources today. So therefore, we don't want you niggers to have anything. And yeah, you might have gotten one of us in jail, in prison. You niggers are out there celebrating, but don't think that other white supremacists are going to basically get off. Now they're out there killing your women. You understand? And black men, you have to understand, this is getting worse here. They're out killing your women now. You understand? It used to be a time where, okay, we kill your niggers, you're killing your niggers, but now they're killing your women. That's an issue. That's a real problem now. Okay? And the ideal is that it's even more barbaric. It's barbaric when you kill a black man, but when you start killing black women, now it's a real issue here. You understand? Yeah, I understand that there are some bad witches here and there. Fine. You know what I'm saying? But they're now killing our women now. That's an issue. That's a real issue. And so therefore, it has to go beyond now turning up. It has to really get serious. When you start killing girls, young black girls, and young black boys, now, you understand? Now it's time to light up flames. It's time to really get into your ass. When they start coming at your children, it's now it's either ride or die. Shut up. Okay, they're killing our kids now. That's how bold that these white supremacists have got. You see, democracy is not a system that basically is fair and just. It's only an ideal, and only that ideal will work when people start to corroborate. You see, the people, when they really get intellectualized, they figure out very quick that your laws don't mean a damn thing. You understand? And so the laws are only important as their enforcers. And when you have and turn to look at the KKK that's supposed to be enforcing your laws, now you are in trouble. These folks are coming after our kids now. That's a major issue. Yeah, it was an issue when the black men getting shot and killed, but they're coming after our women and children. That's an issue. That's a problem. You see, the white supremacists are so desperate now that they basically have, they're out targeting anybody now in the black community. And their excuses are going to always be, oh, they had a weapon in their hand, blah, 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 blah. We're going to justify this shooting. We're going to celebrate here. You see, when they start coming after your kids and your women, okay, it's time to turn up now. It's time to show where manhood. And yes, our women do have the wrong definition about what men are. I give you that. As black men, we get that. They do have the wrong definition. They think of they listen to all these YouTube videos. You got Negroes out there talking about, well, see. Now, alpha male is somebody who can get any girl they want, blah, blah, blah. You know, yeah. So we do understand that our women do have the wrong definition about men. But that's no excuse though, black men, for not really defining for them what true manhood is all about. You see, yes, they're out there looking at the thugs and they're out there dating the what I like to say, they like to pull their panties down for all the bad guys and the thugs and stuff. These guys who are not going to protect them when the race soldier pulled up, that comes from the black men in the grassroots. Yes, that happens. In other words, of course, the thugs like Shitty Loke and all these guys, they are the product of the white supremacists. The ghetto hood chicks, those are the products of the white supremacists. This is the product of a Lyndon B. Johnson. You understand? So when we talk there about real Black manhood, those of us who's a part of the Black intellectual society, who really knows about what manhood is about, we have to start now going out there seeking justice for our women and children. Anytime the race soldiers are killing our kids, and of course I don't have any, but anytime they're killing our nieces and our nephews and our young people, it's a wrap. That means that you are in a total war. That means that basically that fear of dying goes out the window. You understand? And that your regular clothes, when you've been out here talking about, "Gee, I'm going to go to the club. Let me go put on my skinny jeans and blah, blah, blah." No, you take off the skinny jeans and now you got to put that soldier uniform on, because now that's war. When they start killing your kids, that's the personification that you're ready for war with us. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with, that this white splaining out there. Oh no, no, she had a knife in her hand and she was charging it at another girl and blah blah. That father is now in the positions of getting justice. Understand? There's no way that these fools are going to start going after our kids. That's a problem. You got to start producing justice here. Because, like we've been saying in the Black media, this is not real justice. These people are not police officers. Okay, you're going to have the FBI investigate, the state police investigate. That's just like, as I said earlier, the KKK passing the charges on to the Proud Boys. The Proud Boys passing it on to these white supremacists who invaded the Capitol. All of them are in cahoots, and they do not want Black people to even get justice by any stretch of the imagination. Don't you think that this is a celebration for Derek Chavin being found guilty? This is a celebration. This is not. As Dr. Umar Johnson pointed out, we are celebrating too quickly. We got Black folks in the streets out there. Ooh, Lord Jesus. That is a problem. You don't celebrate no one in or, that's no. You don't celebrate no victory. In fact, if you look at the history of these race soldiers as they've been convicted, we haven't had a police officer convicted in a long time. You understand? We haven't had a police officer really in this high profile case convicted since the Chicago conviction of that one the white supremacist. And that happened about what, 5, 6, 7 years ago? That's a very long time. That's a very, very, very long time to get a conviction and then to celebrate that we have one white supremacist for some years, basically finally been found guilty. You still got other 3 officers here who basically can plead guilty. I mean, to plead their deals out and get a less sentence under manslaughter. Some of them who can even get probation, who have been cooperating with the FBI and the Minnesota Apprehension Department or whatever, which is the state police. They have been actually cooperating so that they can get a reduced sentence here. You see, we have to start producing justice ourselves. And producing justice means that we don't let the white media and the white supremacist system tell us how we produce justice. You know, and I'm glad that I don't have children because, man, if this happened to my son or daughter, I'm gonna tell you, it's time for me to go too. I'm just gonna tell you. I have to go too, because when a race soldier starts to pull up on your children, pull it up on my brothers and my sisters, we're done. You know what I'm saying? We're through. You see, the white supremacists, they know who to attack and who not to attack. You understand? We're done. Okay? Let's all die that day. You understand? We're done. Period. Let's all go out. That's how you have to be with the white supremacists. And now, when you start thinking like that and you take that fear out, now they come to the negotiation table. Yeah, first you wanted to pull up and blah, 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 blah. Okay, you got a gun, let's go. I got a gun too, let's do it. Well, let me bring you go here, sit down at the table, and we can discuss what we're going to do moving forward. Because the white supremacists, they don't want to die if they're in leadership. And they basically don't want all black people dead. And the reason why they don't want all black people dead is because the white supremacists in Europe had a hard time in controlling each other. So that's the reason why they're wanting a lot of illegals coming over. That's the reason why they like certain types of black Christian people who bow down to them. Because the white supremacists know that they don't want all of us going back to Africa. They're basically in a country alone, like they are in Europe, is an issue for them because they're used of controlling things. They're used of telling people what to do. You see, they're used to it. That's the reason then why we talk there about white people always out here talking about they were enslaved too. They were enslaved by other white people, in which they got incentives for. When we talk there about the Irish, you understand? That's the reason why it's important for black people to go back and look at their history of not only the European, what they teach you somewhat in school, but to look at their history as a whole and look at white supremacy and then look at your own history and suggest that no, sacrifice, you understand, is what we saw here. White sacrifice, as Nellie Fuller taught us, can happen. So it's not justice. You understand? So the Europeans do want black people here. They do want minorities and other peoples here as their buffer class because all these people get an opportunity not only to gang up on us, but they still can basically feel like they're running things. You see, white people like running things. They don't like to be told what to do, but they want to tell other people what to do. And so, therefore, when you tell other people what to do, you feel like that you have this God-given right to do whatever you want. Because now it's about not following the law, it's about white splaining. You understand? But yes, today the Lawyer Henderson podcast show had to go in deep and in depth with you here. Okay? And so therefore we basically will keep monitoring all these other cases here. But this was a white sacrifice. That's all it was. It was not a celebration by a stretch of any imagination. We want to thank you for joining the Lawyer Henderson podcast show. Join us on Sunday as we come back at 8 o'clock as well, talking about more of Black Power on the grassroots level. See you.